So Santos against Rakić was very interesting because Santos did so well against Jones. And seeing this now, there's a lot of questions that come to mind. And the questions are we seeing a diminished Santos after his knee surgeries, as Rogan thought he saw in the commentary? Is it just styles make fights, and for some reason there's something about how Jones fought that Santos was more comfortable rushing in that wasn't the case against Rakić? Or is it just really, yeah, exactly. So is it just like the same Santos we saw, and it's just that the division was catching up with Jones? Who knows? It's kind of difficult because Jones has been a champion for so long that I could imagine younger fighters or other fighters, I forgot Santos' age now, but just starting to catch up with him. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means. And in some ways, I wonder if John Jones is not going to heavyweight because maybe he thinks he'll have I know this is going to sound crazy, but maybe he thinks he's going to have an easier time at heavyweight because of the speed differential. I don't know. But it's interesting because it was one of those fights that you're not sure what you're looking at. I mean, you see what you're seeing, but you're not sure what it means. So I actually don't have that much to say about that one. But maybe I'm overthinking the significance of it. Who knows? Makhachev and Dober. Well, first of all, this is going to sound like it's not meant to be some backhanded compliment, I swear. But if Makhachev is anywhere near as good as what Khabib is, I'm really impressed by Dober as well. Just not a backhanded compliment at all. Like I thought in round one, Dober dealt really well with the wrestling. It was just after the fact that the other rounds it was getting to be too much. And Makhachev is an amazing grappler, of course. I'm stating up. I don't know. I feel like I'm stating the obvious with this one. I don't know that there's any hot take to having this about this fight. Other than I'm actually also really impressed with Dober because Makhachev comes from like Khabib's school, I guess I could call it. I don't know. Anyway, and if you can, I don't know how they compare to each other. I don't know how Makhachev compares to Khabib. But if they're anywhere near the same level, even if they're not the same level, if they're anywhere near the same level, it's going to be interesting for 155. And the guy called out Ferguson, and I'm... it's so weird how our opinions can change, and we don't know the whole stories, like who knows? Maybe a fighter changes medication, it affects him for a while, and then he's not the same, but he might come back from it. Like we never know what's going on behind the scenes, right? And there's a time when we really wanted to see Khabib versus Ferguson, and going like, oh, what Ferguson will do from his back, maybe he can deal with Khabib. And then we saw what Oliveira did to Ferguson. We're like, okay, yeah, not much happened from the back. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but Makhachev against Ferguson, I don't like that fight for Ferguson at the moment, from what I've seen. Doesn't mean Ferguson won't make adjustments. Doesn't mean that... Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what'll happen there. If it happens. But Dana White said he liked the fight. I mean, he kind of went like, yeah, sure, I like it. It's not like he was committed to that fight when a reporter asked him, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens because I think they're gonna wanna, with Khabib being gone, and he's gone. With Khabib being gone, they're going to want to tap in that market that Khabib covered. Russians and the Muslim world, like that's a huge demographic internationally. And with Khabib gone, like Makhachev, for sure they want to, for sure they if Khabib is gone, they want Khabib number 2 for sure. So I could actually really see that happening. Them putting him against Ferguson, knowing that stylistically after the Oliveira fight, it's not really a good fight for Ferguson, in my opinion. And I can't believe I'm saying this because there was a time where I thought, oh, Ferguson for sure is the realest threat to Khabib. And not, I think Oliveira might have been a really good threat for Khabib, which we'll never see, but that's interesting. Anyway, yeah, moving on. Okay, this one. There's so much to unpack here. So Jan, and that illegal knee, man. Jan said after the fact that he was watching the hands only, he wasn't watching the knees. That's why he threw the knee. And Aljamain Sterling, he's really angry he won the belt like that. But you know what? As a fan, I like what happened. I don't like that the illegal knee was thrown. I wish it hadn't. But if it had to be thrown, I like the result. Because I feel like MMA has a little trouble with fouls. The MMA has so much trouble with fouls, high pokes, and illegal strikes, and like the back of the head, and the spine, and the knee. And I'm not saying that it's not understandable that in the heat of the moment, fighters are going to do stuff very instinctively or don't have time to analyze every single possibility before they throw a strike. I get that. I'm not even being that harsh on Jan, personally speaking. Like, okay, you know what? He threw it. It happened. And yeah, he already got punished by losing the title. So I don't see, like, I don't think we should be like adding to the to the wound already. I'm not mad at this. I think it's a good thing what happened. Not the knee, but since the knee was strong, like how everything got resolved. Because I think going forward, fighters are going to start being more careful now. Because they just saw someone lose a title, and we got close to that with Jones and Lionheart, Anthony Smith. Sorry, I had to say the nickname first for the name to come back to me. But Anthony Smith was able to continue, and I agree with what Justin Gaethje put in social media. Even though I found those pop-ups annoying during the fights, I agree with Justin Gaethje. Like, it should not be in the hands of a fighter. You get hit like that because, of course, the fighter is going to say, I'm going to continue. A lot of the cameras are on him, and he might continue in a very diminished state, which is not fair. But if he says, I can continue, if you make him say it, then fighters can't, I mean, they can say that, but you have to understand how difficult it is for them to say that and the implications of them saying that for their career, for how people perceive them, all of that crap. No, the career is not crap, but how people perceive them is often crap. You know, MMA has really stupid fans often. So it should not be in the hands of the fighter when something like that happens. It should be in the hands of the officials. So I think this will make people be maybe a bit more careful, fighters, a bit more careful. I think, okay, yeah, maybe Sterling thinks it sucks how it happened, but you know what? I think he was losing that fight, and he for sure going to do a rematch. So the rematch will settle everything, okay? That's my point. It's not like, oh, now they lost their first, that fight is never going to happen again. Jan is forever forbidden from being a champion. That's not what happened. He lost it last night rather, as I'm filming this in the morning. He lost it last night, and he's going to have a chance. It's confirmed. Like, both sides want to fight again. Dana White wants him to fight again. It's going to happen. Knock on wood. But they're just going to have a rematch. For Sterling, you know what? It gives him a chance to maybe plan a bit better for that sort of fight, because the game plan he brought was not the one that was going to give him the belt, I don't think. I think Jan was going to take it, so, it gives him time to readjust, and then whoever wins, wins. Like, fair is fair. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing, because both fighters will fight again. Nothing was lost. The only thing that sucks, of course, is anyone who was waiting, anyone who was waiting for their shot at the belt now has to wait longer. That sucks. So in that sense, as I'm talking, I realize this. I'm thinking about this now. And that aspect, I think, is the saddest part. But I think it's a necessary evil to maybe have people start being a bit more careful of these things. Because Jan, I don't mean to pile up on the guy. He already lost the belt. But he could have been more careful. I'm not meaning to be like, some people online are so harsh on him, and when you're fighting, like, I think stuff happens sometimes, like, not in sparring, don't get me wrong, like when you're sparring at your gym, if you're someone who trains, like, you're in this like really relaxed mindset, but like in a fight, if someone's trying to take your head off, like, stuff is gonna happen sometimes. But so let's not be too harsh, but also let's maybe remind everyone, yeah, if you do something legal, you're gonna lose the fight. And that one didn't feel stupid, like it wasn't for the bell, but when John Jones did this, like 12-6 elbows, and he lost because of that, that was stupid. But those were the rules. But you're like, did that rule need to be reinforced? This case is very legit. This is a very legit case of losing a belt, so I'm okay with it. I agree with it. I think it sucks that it happened, and as I think about it now, I think it sucks for people waiting in line for their shot at the title. But as far as the two fighters are concerned, nothing is lost. Nothing is lost, really. I think the emotions of the moment, but I think it's a good thing. I think it makes for a very interesting rematch. It's an interesting narrative. Can Sterling just like come back from this and have a new game plan? Peter Yan should have won. Like, now he's, you can make so many like interesting stories. I think that fight is going to sell really well because a lot of people are going to be talking about this. The rematch is going to sell really well, and then in the rematch, like, the rightful winner will win. That's it. Unless, and this is kind of funny, but unless something weird happens again in a rematch. No, it's not funny. I shouldn't say that. Okay, knock on wood. I don't want that to happen. But unless something weird happens in a rematch, and we'll have like a clear winner. And what would be weird, actually? What would be really weird is if in the second one, Sterling just clearly wins, adjusts his game plan, clearly wins, and then we're kind of left with this like almost very interesting scenario where it's like, well, the first time around, Jan was going to win, probably. And now Sterling won because he got a rematch. Like, that leads to a very interesting conversation. But I'm also okay with it because, again, it's Jan's knee that made that happen. Therefore, he's kind of paying for it as much as he should be. But yeah, some people, even ex-fighters, are being really harsh with him. But anyway. Okay, oh boy, Nunes and Anderson. I was talking to someone before the main card, and like, the person brought up Nunes, and I was like, yeah, and I was kind of like very almost disinterested in the fight. But I mean, when Nunes fights, it's not to be missed. She's the female greatest of all time, and she's a generation or two ahead of her competition, I think. And I probably also, like, physically speaking, like, freakish strong. So it's never to be missed. But when you watch Nunes fights, like the old school Mike Tyson fights, I think, where you just like, oh, I just came to see someone get effing knocked out, or well, in this case, a submission that was so sick. Like, I'm so glad I saw that fight. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was amazing. That finish was amazing. And I think at some point, like, when someone makes it look so easy, it's almost as exciting as if it had been like a battle, just because you're watching something special. So yeah, I suspected what was going to happen. Like, Nunes is so good. She's bored a little bit. She's still enjoying her work. And of course, she's taking so little damage. Why not keep cashing in the checks? Everyone's like asking her, what more do you have to do? But what they're missing a point. She is a mom now. Like, she wants to, and she said she wants to set money aside for her family. Every time she goes on and fights, she makes money, and she's not taking damage. Like, she's taking so little. In this case, she didn't take damage at all, but like in previous fights, I have to rewatch. Did she even take real damage? I don't know. So why wouldn't she continue to keep cashing in the checks? And maybe at some point, if she gets a lot of damage, maybe then they say, okay, you know what, this is it. Kind of like GSP did, I guess. Yeah, like, it makes so much sense for her to continue because she's not getting hurt. She's just steamrolling through the competition. Yeah, so anyway, as I was going to say, what was interesting is that Nunes was saying before the fight, oh, her reach might give me some trouble, but I'll get around that. So it was kind of like, wow, okay, wait, she's so like like blasé, that she's kind of like almost hoping to have a challenge. It sounds like, I don't know, maybe that's my interpretation, but Nunes is so ahead of the game in her divisions and in her category, like a female fighter. She's so ahead that it's like she's, hey, you know what? Hey, maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe her reach will give me trouble. Like it's almost like she's looking for a little bit of struggle at least, and she's not finding it. So I'm just amazed by this fighter. What a special talent. What a like what a special talent, and the way she finished her, and I don't understand. Leave comment, if anyone wants to leave a comment. Maybe I don't get it. I don't understand how Ronda Rousey could have been so popular and Amanda Nunes is not. And it's just, anyway, it's just amazing. Just amazing how easily she did this. It was just, meh. Here's the big one. Blachowicz is the big one. No, okay. Blachowicz and Adesanya was interesting. Not the fight people thought. I think after Adesanya's dismantling of Costa, people were kind of like, well, Costa hits hard, and look at what Izzy did. Therefore, maybe he'll do the same with Blachowicz, because Blachowicz might be even stronger, but he'll be slower, or something like that. I don't know. Blachowicz is not the fastest, but he's really good at knowing how to play his game. Blachowicz is one of those fighters that a lot of fighters that heavy carry a lot of punch, so that polished knuckle power is there. But at the same time, I don't think that alone makes it's not like Ngannou, you know what I mean? Like it's not that level of gonna punch you once and that's it. He has that knockout power that can come at any moment, but with Ngannou, it's almost like every time you get punched, there's like a 75% chance you're out, something like that, or 95%. I don't know. So with Blachowicz, what's interesting is that I think it would be almost unfair to just say it's a knockout power. With someone like Ngannou, as much as I love Ngannou, I would say Ngannou, his knockout power is why he's that dominant. With Blachowicz, the knockout power makes him the champion, makes him elite, but I would say that he has an understanding of when he can do something and when he can't. And it's such a simple thing, but it's a very important thing, because a lot of fighters you'll see them try to do stuff that they can't do in that moment, and like they try to act like they're more athletic than they are, and it doesn't work out. And what I find is like Blachowicz, he knows what he can and can't do, and he will do what he can at the moment he should, and he's not going to do what he shouldn't at other moments. And this, okay, I don't want to take credit for this thought because I read it in the comments online, and I agree with it though. The commenters were like, oh, Blachowicz is really reacting to Adesanya's feints a lot. But in the comments, I think a lot of people said that, and I agreed retroactively, that him reacting like that to the feints was what allowed him to block a lot of the kicks that were coming for his head and stuff like that. Question mark. And because Blachowicz is not as fast, therefore, if he doesn't react, he's gonna, at some point, there's gonna be a feint that is gonna come for real. He's not gonna react to it, and he's not gonna be quick enough to block it after a fact, or react to it. So I think him treating every feint like a threat actually saved Blachowicz from Adesanya's trickiness. Because again, like, just Blachowicz knows how he's good, and that is an amazing thing for a fighter. When a fighter finds how he makes what he is work, it's amazing, because he knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and he's gonna play to them. Similar in a way to, Derrick Lewis is way more, I would say, athletic in the traditional sense, but Derrick Lewis is another example of a guy who is really good because he knows what his strengths are and he knows how to play them. But again, Blachowicz is a champion right now. That's to be respected. I think it speaks to how good he is that he beat Adesanya. But also, now I want to talk about Adesanya. I was saving Adesanya for last. I was talking about Blachowicz. Now I'm going to talk about Adesanya and Blachowicz at the same time at this moment. But people who are relishing in Adesanya's loss are missing the point, I think. Look, if they don't like the guy, I don't know why people dislike him so much. He talks trash sometimes to a very small degree, but so does Conor, and so many people are like, oh, that's part of his strategy. But then when Adesanya does it, I don't know. I mean, your mileage may vary. I like Adesanya's boasting and all that, and I don't like Conor's, so I don't know. They're two very different styles, but I mean, it's almost like with Conor, people don't hold it against him as much, except when he goes too far. And with Adesanya, as soon as he boasts a bit, a lot of haters come out, And I'm gonna try not to read too much into that, I guess. Anyway, wonder why? Nah, it's I don't want to jump to conclusions about people. Anyway, so it's so Blachowicz winning this fight, especially since it wasn't Adesanya was completely outclassed or anything like that. I think it proves Blachowicz is a really great fighter, but I don't think it diminishes Adesanya. They had 20 pounds of difference, and it's kind of weird. It's this difference is just enough that, and because Adesanya is really tall too, so reach wise they, it wasn't like Adesanya was way smaller regarding reach and height and stuff like that. Maybe Adesanya was taller, I'm not sure. Anyway, I think the difference it's interesting because to me after this fight I come out I think it's good for Blachowicz. I think it speaks well of Blachowicz that he won, but also I don't think it speaks ill of Adesanya that he lost because of the difference. That size difference was just enough that Blachowicz's win is still valid, but also just enough that you don't hold it against Adesanya that he lost, especially because they were kind of pretty. It was a competitive fight, and anyone who's relishing in Adesanya's loss and all that, I'm like, man, is that what you've come to when you don't like the guy? Is that the one that you hang on to? Because I find it kind of sad in a way. I'm going to explain. And again, if people can like or dislike the fighters they want to like or dislike, I'm not going to tell them who to like or not. That'll be... But when you have to relish in the loss of a fighter who tried to go to a higher weight class where he was way lighter, it's low-hanging fruit and you're not really proving anything. It's not like Adesanya got beat in his weight class. He went up. He tried something dangerous. He knew it was something dangerous. He tried something really difficult. And he did something that a lot of fans are always asking fighters to do, which is take risks. And every fan is so annoyed about when fights don't happen or when fighters dodge each other and they don't take the difficult fights and they don't take the fun fights and all of that. And then suddenly you have a fighter like Adesanya who takes risks, goes for fighters with knockout power constantly, one after the other. Like Romero, Costa, Blachowicz. He just, he'll take them. Those fighters who can knock your lights out with one punch if it connects just right. And he just goes after them. And the results of the fights will differ in their excitement. Not every fight will be exciting because sometimes the styles match that way. Especially with a counter striker like Adesanya, he often is a counter striker. So not all of the fights will be the most exciting, but what I mean is he tries stuff, and he's mostly a striker, which pleases a lot of casuals. So to me, holding that against him, he's doing exactly what people want fighters to do. I don't know how his haters don't see that. They're like, oh, he should be humbled. Fighters don't need to be humble. Come on. Like, they have to be boastful, and they don't have to. No, sorry, that's not true. But being boastful, and it's part of the business, man. Like, some fighters will choose to do it, others not, and you as a fan can prefer one over the other. But to hold that against him, he's just trying to sell the fight. And also, yeah, so fighters will be, when Adesanya was like, oh, Błachowicz handed the future legend, talking about himself, his first loss. Yes, he thinks highly of himself. Fighters need to think highly of themselves. Goes without saying. And it's just, I'm repeating myself. I'm going to try to make this short now. But if you are the kind of fan who's happy Adesanya lost, look, that's on you. I don't want to even get into it. But it's kind of like low-hanging fruit, and I don't know what kind of victory you have here, because he went to a higher weight class, way higher than his weight class. Maybe wait for him to, if he loses in his own weight class where he's still the champ, then maybe you can have your little parade. But it's kind of like almost sad. It's like the guy went up against a much bigger guy, and you're like celebrating his loss, like it proves something. Oh, maybe now he'll be humble. Dude, he went to fight a giant. Like, Błachowicz is huge. And in my comparison earlier, maybe it's not even like I did him justice. I'm like, well, he doesn't knock out people like Ngannou. Yeah, well, no one does. So, like, for him to have done as well as he did, up until the grappling came up, especially, I don't know. I don't see what victory you can get out of that loss. I think it was interesting because it was a win-win for both fighters. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. If Adesanya won, it was completely loss for Blachowicz. Not only he lost to someone of a lighter weight class. But Blachowicz winning is not the major win and excitement it would have been if Adesanya had 2 belts. But it speaks well of Blachowicz, and it doesn't speak that bad of Adesanya. He tried something dangerous, it didn't work out. It was a higher weight, so yeah, much respect to both fighters. Like them both. And people who are trash talking Adesanya are missing the point. Adesanya is doing the kind of stuff that fans want fighters to do. He's taking risks. He's not being too precious with his zero. Like that loss that he took. That loss that he took, he could have so easily just avoided by not going up a weight class. So even people like relishing that now he has a loss, it's not like he was protecting his record. That he wasn't trying to protect his record. He was just trying to do great things, and I respect that. And I can't wait for the next Adesanya fights. It's just exciting, and I'm happy that Blachowicz got more eyes on him. He deserves it. He really does. Okay, everyone, so that was it for UFC 259, and please let me know in the comments what you thought of the event, of what I said, if you have observations, anything. And also, hey, if you like my show and you want to support, there's a link for Patreon in the comments, in the description of the video, rather. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Maybe I should do this at the beginning of the video, I don't know. Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.